Popular author and nationwide speaker Dr. Mike Rabinoff is a board-certified psychiatrist on the research faculty at the UCLA Department of Psychiatry, and he's on the line with us this morning. Good morning, Dr. Mike.
Good morning, and thanks for having me on, Ron.
Your latest book is called Ending the Tobacco Holocaust, and I went to the website, tobaccobook.com. Boy, there's a lot of useful information there.
Yes, and I hope people utilize it to help quit smoking and also to learn about this issue. According to the World Health Organization, 1 billion people are going to die this century from smoking. That's billion with a B. It's almost incomprehensible to think of that number, but that's what's going on this planet. In the United States itself, about 400,000 Americans die from smoking each year who are smokers. And believe it or not, 53,000 Americans die from secondhand smoke. That's the data from the Surgeon General's report from 2006. This is an issue, the secondhand smoke issue, which it turns out kills more people than all motor vehicle accidents per year. So it's a very important issue for people to become aware of. It turns out that the tobacco companies have been changing the chemistry of cigarettes and engineering them so that people are less aware of secondhand smoke because they know this is a big issue, and they camouflage the odor, visibility, and irritability of secondhand smoke. But guess what? The deadly chemicals are still in the air. They haven't done anything about that. And the secondhand smoke really affects everyone. It affects children, especially because their lungs are less developed. It affects pets. People think that they'll go on their own and they'll be away from people and their children. They'll smoke by their dog or pet. But it turns out that Fluffy and Fido die from secondhand smoke. Cats get twice the rate of lymphoma, and dogs get twice the rate of nasopharyngeal carcinoma. In terms of kids, 150,000 to 300,000 children below the age of 18 get pneumonia or bronchitis by exposure to secondhand smoke per year in the United States. 800,000 children get middle ear infections due to secondhand smoke exposure, and between 200,000 and 1 million children have more frequent or more severe asthma attacks because of secondhand smoke. So this does affect everyone's family and friends and coworkers.
And of course, you know, every time I see a vehicle with a mom, dad, and the kids, and the windows are rolled up, and you see them smoking, you just want to pull over and and tap on the window and say, "What are you thinking?" You know.
That's right. In California, where I live, in the middle of 2008, the law is changing, so that will actually be a ticketable offense.
Well, that's a good thing. We also want to get to some of your tips to quit smoking.
People need to think about why they want to quit and then to actually go about the actions of quitting, because this is an issue that affects the smoker's total life. It affects their family, their friends. So it's really, really important for them to get behind this. This may be the most important action a smoker can take. The average smoker in the United States loses 14 years of their life to smoking. That's 14 years.
Yeah.
And it's not like they suddenly go along and they drop dead. They go through suffering. I have tons of patients who come in with oxygen tanks because they can't breathe, because they have emphysema, and they're really, really suffering. I've seen this so much because in my practice, it turns out that 44.3% of cigarettes in the United States are consumed by people with mental illness.
Oh.
If you look at the various types of diagnosis of mental illness, of schizophrenics, it used to be that 90% smoke. Now it's about 70%.
Uh-huh.
For people with bipolar disorder, major depression, panic disorder, or PTSD, 45 to 65% smoke. And people with substance use disorders like cocaine, alcohol, or heroin, opioids, about 80% smoke. So I see this every day. Any physician going in the hospital, because this kills 1 out of every 5 Americans, sees this every single day.
Yeah.
So it's so important for people to quit. And my number one tip is for people to have a big enough why. They have to know why they want to quit, not to be forced by others, but what is their motivation? Is it for the health? Is it for their family and loved ones? Is it for their pet? Is it because they are sick and tired of being addicted and paying money to companies which are basically farming them for their money, you know, the addictive product to keep the money flowing in? What is it that is their big enough why? And once an individual figures out that, that can provide the motivation to go through the quit process. And I tell people to find their big enough why is the most important tip, and then write it out and put it around the house and wherever they need to remind them as they go through the quit process. The second Second tip is throw away all cigarettes and related items. Set a quit date. This is very important. Fourth tip is change your identity and self-image to I am a non-smoker. If you start thinking of yourself, I am a non-smoker, instead of a smoker having a problem, start living your life where you're living congruently with that, then you'll change your behaviors to be in line with I am a non-smoker. Share your goal with friends and families. It's very important to get social support, and you'll be surprised at how many people want to help. The sixth tip is avoid all triggers and learn new replacement behaviors. Identify your personal triggers for smoking beforehand and write them down. So is it that you're getting angry at work and so you step outside to have a cigarette?
Right.
Well, what is your replacement behavior? If you get angry at work, maybe go outside and have a breathe some fresh air, or listen to some music, or do something else that will reward you instead of that behavior that's actually killing you. Seventh tip is set a no smoking policy. This is very important.
Right.
Dr. Laura Giuliano at American University reviewed the research on this, and it turns out just one cigarette after a person quits, and 79 to 97% of people start smoking again.
I believe
so
it.
It's important to avoid that. Maybe change your behavior while you're quitting so that you don't hang out in places where you might have smoked before, like in a bar or around friends. You might have to tell some friends, well, right now I need to take a break, and so I can't be around the smoking so I can get through this process and quit. The eighth tip is get support. This is very important. When people try and quit on their own, less than 7.5% of people are able to make it a whole year. So get support. Good number to call is the National Cancer Institute Smoking Quit Line, 1-877-44-U-QUIT. Again, 1-877-44-U-QUIT. And there's groups in the communities like Nicotine Anonymous. They have meetings. They have phone meetings. They have internet meetings if you can't get out. Lots of organizations have groups. The ninth tip is use scientifically proven methods. There are methods that have been proven to help. There's this new medication, Chantix, which is very good. Bupropion or Wellbutrin, Zyban is another name, is another chemical that helps. There are a lot of different methods that help people to quit. The 10th tip is combine methods and commit to quit. What I found in my research at Kaiser Permanente, where I do some research, we can get 40 to 50% of people to quit for a year if we combine like a 7-week cognitive behavioral class along with the nicotine replacement method like a patch, and in addition add a medication like Wellbutrin. And I'm trying to increase that to 60 to 70% with doing research on another method called gradual schedule reduction, using that in place of nicotine replacement. Very quickly, and I'm not affiliated with the company. The company's website is smokesignals.net. They have a product that was developed, funded by the National Institute of Health. The device that people put their cigarettes in the pack, when they open it and close it, it keeps a record of their smoking behavior. And then it gives them, it beeps or flashes when the person is supposed to smoke, and it gradually decreases the frequency of smoking per day until they stop. And I think that it may work better than nicotine replacement because it's gradually decreasing all of the addictive chemicals, not just the nicotine, but the acetaldehyde and other additives that are in cigarettes that are actually addictive, and people don't know that are addictive. And it also changes the time when people smoke. So instead of going outside after you have a fight and smoking, it flashes or beeps, and it tells you when to smoke. Whatever works, combine methods to quit. If it's a complementary methods like hypnosis, add it. The issue is not to prove which method works. The issue is to be healthy, to have a better life. And this is one of the most important things for people that they can do for themselves in their life. This is maybe the most important, if you think about it, and not having all that sickness, not throwing your money away to the tobacco companies, having a healthy environment for your friends, families, loved ones. This is so important.
All right, Dr. Mike, certainly we got the message, and we appreciate it. The book is called Ending the Tobacco Holocaust, and we thank you so much for being with us today.